Hey there. Happy Thursday. This is Lisa Lovestone/Gifford. I'm putting my whole name in there because this video is going to go to several places because I have something that really is meaningful, and I'm going to share this video in several different places. On YouTube, as well as in the Facebook community where I live in the community. So I'm going to start with my story because I like to start my stories with all the details so people understand what it's really all about. And so I'm going to start out with the beginning that leads to today, so that people can understand when they think I should be doing something and I'm not doing that because I'm doing something else or whatever. But I don't have to answer to anybody, but let me just start from the beginning. Okay, so Lisa Lovestone-Gifford, that's me. I live in Augusta, Georgia. I moved here because when my son joined the Army, and after he finished his training and then he went to the language school in Monterey, California, they stationed him here at Fort Eisenhower. And so because he's my only child, I moved here, and I have been living here for over 7 years now. I never thought I'd live in the South, and here I am. And so fast forward to a few months ago. So a few months ago, a couple of years ago, I started playing Pokemon Go. And at first it was really great because I was out walking a lot, and that was wonderful. But then I wasn't walking as much, and now I don't play that much. But a few months ago, I was playing Pokemon, and I drove across the street into a neighborhood I would never be seen in. I would never go there. I just drove across the street. It was at night, and I wanted to spin a Pokestop. I'm like, I'm going to drive over there and I'm going to spin this Pokestop, but I can't quite reach it from here. So I've got to drive over there. And then upon driving over there, I had to drive around the block to get back out. So I drove around the bend and up the road, and all these kitty cats came out into the street and didn't let me go. They wouldn't move. I'm telling you the honest to God truth. They would not move. And I was like, what's going on with these kitties? And then what really got me was I saw this beautiful calico who looked very hurt, damaged. And so I got out and I'm like, kitties, and they're like all over me. Meow, 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 meow. A couple of cats jumped in my car. I was like, what is happening here? Who did these kitties belong to? Where is their mom? Where's their dad? What's going on? And I was like, I just want to play Pokemon and get out of here. Well, so I kind of like look around me and I observe the situation. And it's just really like, I didn't know if anybody was like, it looked like a shop. And then like a big empty space with some trees and stuff. And the kitties just looked like they were, no one was caring for them. And they were hungry. I mean, they were hungry. They were in front of my car, not moving. They were meowing at me, and they'd never seen me before. So I was like, so I'm really on this path to try to be the best person I can be, okay? And I believe that if you want to see a change in this world, the change starts right here with me, right? So instead of saying, boy, I wish somebody would come feed these cats, I was like, well, it looks like I am tasked with feeding these cats today. I don't know why, I don't understand, but these cats are freaking hungry. So I don't own any pets. I'm a pet sitter. Therefore, I can't own pets because who'd take care of my pets while I'm taking care of other people's pets? That just doesn't work. So I don't have any pets. And I live in a pet-free senior housing place. We don't have pets here. So I was like, well, which way do I go? Do I go over to Kroger or do I go over to Food Lion? It's kind of a toss-up because we don't have any grocery stores in my neighborhood. I freaking hate that. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to drive over to Food Lion, I guess. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That way I don't have to cross Washington Road to get to Kroger. I went to Food Lion and I almost shit my drawers. I have not bought cat food in years. I was like, cat food costs this much? What? You know, when I'm pet sitting, the cat food's already there. I don't go to the store and buy cat food. I was shocked. So, I bought a bag of cat food. I went back to the kitties and there was nothing for me to feed them in, so I just poured a bunch of food on the ground. Oh my God, I had to put three piles of food because they were fighting each other. They were food insecure, which is a word I just recently learned, food insecurity. So they fight because it's like, this is my food. So I poured 3 piles of cat food. And I'm like, well, now I've got this cat food. So I was like, all right, kitties, I'll come back and feed you tomorrow. I'll feed you till this bag is gone, and I'll try to figure out what's going on. Why are you here? What's happening here? And so I went home. And I thought about those kitties, and I was like in my brain thinking about, are they all homeless? This many kitties in a place where, you know, there's really nobody there. There's like this one house on the corner, but then you drive down the street and there's houses. And I was just like, why are they here? You know? So, all right. So then I'll try not to make this too drawn out. I do have a tendency to do that. I like details. So the next day, you know, I like put it on Facebook. Funny thing, I was playing Pokemon and all these cats got in the road and I couldn't go anywhere. And I told them I'd feed them if they'd get out of the frickin' road. It was hard. It was hard getting past this herd of kitties. So, you know, I didn't want to run them over. I'm like, move, kitties, move. And they moved, but they were so close to my car. Ugh. Anyway, so I'm putting it on Facebook, you know, and I've start talking about this kitty situation. Well, so the bag of cat food's gone. I've fed them for just like 4 or 5 days and the cat food was gone. There was like about 15 cats at the time. Well, I came by one time and there was a guy outside at the shop. And I won't reveal his name for his privacy purposes. And we'll just call him Blue Eyes. You know, do you remember that song by Terry Gibbs? She was blind. I think she's still alive. I don't know. She was like a country western singer, Terry Gibbs. I think she's from Georgia. And she sang that song. Somebody's knocking, should I let him in? Lord, it's the devil, would you look at him? I heard about him, but I never dreamed he'd have blue eyes and blue jeans. Yeah, that's this guy. Blue eyes, blue jeans. Watch out. He is trouble with a capital T. And we'll just call him Trouble. Yeah. So, I talked to him about the kitties and he said, yeah, there used to be a guy that lived here and people would drop cats off and he would get donations of food, or I don't know if he lived there or that was his shop. I think that was his shop. And he put a kitty dish outside and a water dish, and he fed the kitties. And then Hands to Paw Rescue would come and sometimes and spay and neuter them, like catch them, spay and neuter them. So, but when I was approaching this situation, there was several that were not spayed and neutered. So, and there were kittens there at the time. Some had just been born. So, I'm like, well, so then who's going to take care of them? And he's like, well, I feed them when I'm here, but I'm not always here. And I'm like, well, somebody's got to feed them. I can't afford to come feed these kitties every day. So he's like, well, then don't feed them. And I'm like, well, somebody's got to feed them. Oh. So I got on Facebook and blasted, and I'm like, what do? I don't know what to do. I called animal control. As always, since I've lived in Augusta, they would not do anything. They would not do anything. So the guy said, you know, you can come on my property. You can come feed these kitties. That's fine. But I don't want them here. There's too many. And I come here to work on stuff at the shop, and I step in cat shit and I don't like it. And I'm like, well, okay, I get that. So I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. I want to feed them, but I don't know what to do. Like, So some people with animal rescue groups got on Facebook and replied to my cry for help, because at that time I'm completely oblivious. I have never been a cat rescuer, other than if I've lived somewhere and a cat shows up on my doorstep, I would feed it for a while, then it would disappear, and you know, that would be it. I've owned animals, but I mean, they've been mine. I took care of them. Anyway, so I decided to, again, be the change you want to see in the world. And instead of saying, why doesn't somebody do something? Animal control isn't gonna. Taxpayers paying taxes and what the hell, man? What the hell? Where is the services? So, I decided I'm going to feed them. I went to North Augusta and got a trap. I decided I'm going to trap them, get them spayed and neutered so they can't make more babies. I had no idea how to trap. So, this really nice girl, I think it's okay to drop her name. If it's not, she can beat me up, I suppose, with her good hand. Her name is Christine, and she works with Kitty Connection. And she ended up trapping a few, and Hands to Paw trapped a few. And what Hands to Paws did was they trapped some, spayed, neutered, got the rabies vaccine, and then dropped them back off. Okay, that's fine, because at least we're not going to be having more kittens. So that is like super important. And stray kitties don't live long. So, I mean, okay, that's cool. And Christine taught me how to trap, and she stayed there with me, and we trapped some kitties. She trapped some kitties without me. She'd take the kitties home to her house, and then we've been getting them spayed and neutered. We've got one kitten left. He's not so much a kitten anymore. Leo, he's been growing up. He's gray. So we got to get him neutered, and then all of them will have been spayed and neutered. Well, so with the help of the community, I've had some help, and I have blasted on Facebook. I need some money. Please give me some money. I need money for spaying and neutering. I need money for cat food. Cat food's expensive, and I don't have that kind of money. Okay, so fast forward, we did capture 9 cats, and some, basically to this point, all cats had been spayed and neutered or rescued and waiting spaying and neutering, except for this one crybaby brat kitten who I tried to trap today. He wasn't going for it. I call him he, but I don't know what he is. Male or female, I don't know. So, in the meantime, other cats have been showing up. They're either coming from down the street or they've been dropped off. Now, currently, this just happened today. One of the new cats that I think has been dropped off because it's super friendly and rubs on my legs the entire time I'm there, and I have to be careful so I don't trip over it. Today, I was just there, and it's rubbing up against my leg, and I'm petting it, and then something about its tail looks wrong. And I look, and there's a big old bald spot on it, the tip at the part of its tail where it just goes from the butt to the tail, or the back end, I guess, the tail. There's a big chunk about this big where you can see its skin, and there's a puncture wound. And it's got an ouchie right here on its head. So something, I'm guessing it might have been a dog, but there's also a animal, what are they called? The little things that have a long tail. Not a vole. Oh, I see it, but I can't think of the name of it. I don't know if those things attack kitties, but I'm guessing it might have been a dog that attacked it. So now I've got to be sure. This is the gray kitty that's a boy that is not neutered. So I've got to trap him and I've got to get him to a vet. He's a good kitty. Oh my God, he's a good kitty. He's beautiful gray. And when you see him kind of from a distance, his eyes look, oh my God, this cat is beautiful. And he just is so loving and tender and sweet. And he's just, you know, I've got like 4 or 5 kitties that are sweet. And they rub up against each other and their little tails do the little quiver. They're, oh my God, they're just adorable. So anyway, so that just happened today. But it was already getting dark and I'm not trapping it and taking it to Grovetown. Not in the dark. No, not doing it. So, anyway, okay. So as always, I'm talking a lot about things. I really have a point to this video. I'm not texting it. There's no way. I'm not typing it out. So, okay. So then I was looking for one of the kitties one day because it wasn't showing up. So I drove around and I went further down the street and around the bend. And there was this guy, this old man, sitting in a wheelchair on his front porch, an electric wheelchair, and he had his dog sitting on the porch. And I waved, hi, you know. Well, after a couple of weeks of every now and then driving that way, looking for, you know, one of my kitties that wasn't showing up, I ended up, you know, I said something to him, but I couldn't hear him because he's got a really, his voice is not loud. So I stopped my car, I parked, I got out, and I walked up by his porch so I could hear him. And I talked to him a little bit. And, you know, I said hello to the dog, but the dog seemed really sad. And then I looked and there was something wrong with its butt. And I didn't understand what my eyes were seeing. I've never seen a dog's butt look like that. But it looked like a cone. It was like shaped like a cone protruding out. I was like, oh, cringe. Oh, this poor doggy. I think he's in pain. And so I'm like, oh my God, I can't get in deeper with this shit, man. I'm like, no, not more problems. So I asked the man, well, not that day. So I went home and you know how you go to bed and you're laying in bed and you're thinking about your day. And in my head, it's like I'm this camera that's moving around, zooming in on this house, looking at it. And I'm seeing everything and I'm like, wait a minute, something's wrong with this picture. He's in a wheelchair. There's 2 steps up to his front porch. And he doesn't have a ramp. And I'm laying in bed going, is there a ramp at his back door? Does he have a back door? I would think so. Huh. So now I'm like all frustrated because his dog has a butt problem and he doesn't have a ramp. And I'm like, oh, God. So I went out of my way to drive by his house the next day, but he wasn't outside. So then I drove by the next day and he was outside. And sitting on his porch. And so I pulled my car over to the side of the road, and I got out and I was like, hey. So I was like telling him, so my name is Lisa, and the reason why I'm in your neighborhood is because I've been feeding some stray kitties. He's like, okay, yeah. And I said, so what's your name? And it's like, he tells me his name. And we'll just call him G. And so, I try to be very considerate of the people in this neighborhood. That's why I don't tell anyone where it is, like, unless I know them. Like, I'm not telling a stranger where these people live. I have this feeling inside of me that I need to be respectful of their privacy. They don't need a bunch of people coming in and poking their noses in their lives. I wouldn't want that. So, So I get on Facebook again and I'm like, I need help. This guy needs a ramp, wheelchair ramp. And then some people are private messaging me about the dog. And I'm like, this dog needs to go to the vet. So I put the pieces together as I think about it. And I'm like, okay. The guy never leaves his house because he can't get off his porch. He never, ever goes anywhere. His skin is so white, pale, you can almost see right through it. He's 73 years old. And he can't walk his dog. Now, I would offer to walk his dog. But his dog is in pain. The couple of times I've been by there to talk to him and say, I'm going to build you a ramp. I promise I'm going to build you a ramp. I don't know how, but I promise I'm going to build you a ramp. And I'm like, I'm going to try to raise some money so we can take care of your dog. So I haven't been super faithful about it because I've got my life to live. I have to work. I live alone. I have to take care of myself. And my car went out. My transmission went out in my car. I was borrowing a truck from a friend. Thank God for her. And it took me 30 days to find a car. So I spent a lot of my time out there looking for a car. So I'm online looking for cars. Ooh, I like this one. Oh, I like this one. This one's in my price range. Talking to my banks. Talking about a loan. There was so much going on. And this was all just before Christmas of 2024. And so I'm asking for help. And a lot of people are like giving me like, call these guys, call this church, hook up with these guys. Blah, blah, blah. Now, there was one Augusta program that said, well, we need the man to fill out a form. I had already explained in the message that I left that he has one good hand. I don't even know how he's living. I'm not asking enough questions. I don't see him enough. If his door's shut, I don't bother him. If his door is open, I will talk to him. I just don't want to intrude on him. So, and sometimes, the cats are my priority because I'm like, the cats won't survive if I don't come feed them. And some days all I can do is feed them and go because I'm doing my other things, my job, my work, going to my doctor's appointments, finding a car, whatever I'm doing. So December was a hard month. My transmission went out on my Nissan for the second time. That rebuilt transmission wasn't even a year old and it went out. And I'm really upset about that. So, don't ever buy a Nissan Versa. Don't do it. Don't buy a Nissan Versa. And if you can help it, don't buy a Nissan. Don't do it. Just find something else to buy. Don't do it. Anyway, so okay, so I was shocked that when I asked for help with the old man to build a ramp, all these women were making suggestions or saying, God bless you, or I see that dog needs its nails trimmed, or, whatever. And some pet sitter is like, I'll walk your dog for free. God bless you. The dog for free. I didn't take her up on her offer because I am also a pet sitter and a dog walker. And if I felt like the dog should be out walking in its position, then I would offer to walk it on days I had time. So, of course, she doesn't know that. But anyway, I guess I'm just a little irked about that because I feel like it was a way for her to try to use my call for help as a situation for her to try to drum up some business. I'm a pet sitter. I'll walk in for free. Oh, isn't she a good girl? I'm going to call her when I need a pet sitter. I didn't like that. Taking advantage of a situation, and that's how I feel. So I just was feeling there was an ulterior motive there, not a genuineness. Maybe I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong about that, actually. So, okay, enough about that. So the only male that offered to help at this point previous was a young man. I don't know how old he is, but 19 is my guess. And he's like, well, my dad and I can do it. And I'm like, well, you're offering your dad services. Shouldn't you talk to him first? I didn't say that, but that's what I'm thinking. You should probably ask your dad, you want to go do some volunteer work? Not everybody's into volunteer work. Not everybody wants to do it. I don't understand it, but not everybody wants to. They got better things to do. So lots of people, and then when I went back to read it again, I noticed that more people had offered to help. If you see this video, know that I'm seeing, okay, so when you have that many responses to a post, it is really, really hard to find them all. and I'm doing the best I can, okay? I'm going to get to you, but I've had a lady offer me wood, pressure treated wood that's sitting in her garage for free. Come and get it. All right, I've got some free wood offered to me. I got another woman who offered a ramp that's in 2 pieces. She's like, we don't need it anymore. You can come get it for free. Awesome. Okay, so I've got a young man that wants to help, and he wants his dad to volunteer with him. Super. Or maybe his friends. Okay. But now I'm scared, okay? Because he's a young man. What experience does he have? This is a wheelchair ramp for an electric wheelchair. Those suckers are heavy. And I'm getting scared, okay? So young man, you know your name. I know your name. This is where I'm at with that, okay? I'm sorry. But I'm scared. I don't want, something bad to happen. I'm just scared about it, okay? So then I'm like, cha-ching, the light bulb comes on. Oh, wait a minute. What about the guy who what did we call him? Trouble. What about him? So I try really hard to try to get to that area to feed the kitties when I know he might be there working in the shop. I finally rounded him up. And I'm like, he like drove by me, and I'm like honking at him, rolling down my window, waving my hand, come back, come back. Well, he went down the road, but he turned around and he came back. Okay. So I said, hey, Trouble, since he's already familiar with the neighborhood, his dad bought that property, where the guy had passed away that was previously taking care of the kitties. And I'm like, you know what? You know how to build stuff. Why don't you help me build a wheelchair ramp? He's like, I can do that. I'm like, okay, well, let's exchange phone numbers and I'll get a hold of you and we'll set a date. I'm like, oh, this feels better because he knows these people in this neighborhood. I don't have to subject the neighborhood to the whole world and expose them. I'm just trying to be really considerate of them. I don't want to be so considerate that people are going without, but I mean, I'm doing the best I know how to do, okay? All right. So Trouble, I'm like trying to get a hold of him, and he checks his messages not every day. And so I'm like, well, shoot. I don't think he's going to be reliable. And then I'm like, I'm getting ready to give up on him and ask this couple. It was a wife. She said, my husband and I can come build it. I'm like, I like that. I like that. A married couple coming to do that. And I will be there. This is the thing. Okay. I'm protective of these people. Okay. Especially the man in the wheelchair. He's vulnerable. So I'm being very protective. And I want to be there when the people are building the ramp, and I want to help. I can help. I just don't know how. I don't have the tools. I don't really know how to do it so that it's safe and all that stuff. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll go back through and scroll through and try to find them. But then Trouble finally texts me back and he says, hey, I got your message. Sorry, I just got it. Actually, we have a metal wheelchair ramp that we can use. And I'm like, who's we? I don't know. But he's like, it's at the house, wherever that is. I don't know. So I'm like, okay, great. That sounds good. Let's get together and plan this. I'm not hearing back. But I did text and say, you know what? If you don't want to help me, just say so. I can get other people. So that's what's going on. I'm making myself accountable. I asked for help, so I'm making myself accountable, but it's just too much work to try to go back and read everything and comment on everything. I mean, if anybody takes a minute to look at how many comments there are, I need a freaking team. I need a team to go through all those messages and write down and I can't say the word. I'm too upset. I can't even say the word. Being 60 is awesome, let me tell you. Carpentalize. First time in my life I can't say that word. That fucking sucks. Oh. Okay. But you know what I'm trying to say. So I need somebody to organize it. Yeah, like a team. Okay? This is too much for me. You know, I have 2 businesses that I'm running, and you know, I go here, I go there, I go feed this dog, I go walk that dog, I go spend the night at people's houses all over the CSRA, and I'm not home for days and days. I drive around. I feel like I live in my car. The last 2 days I've lived in my car. I've been in my car. I bought a car, and there has been something wrong, and then something wrong, and then something wrong. I've been having to take it to the shop. I've been getting this done. I took it to the Jiffy Lube on the corner of not Bastion, Bastion, yeah. Bastion and, what was that, Fury's Ferry? That Jiffy Lube right there in Martinez. So the engine filter on my car, they pulled it. It was so black. It was so black. And it had leaves in it and dead bugs. It was thick with stuff. Okay? We put in a new air filter. We put in a new cabin filter. The oil was dry. I thought I had checked the oil when I bought it, but I didn't. I checked the oil on a different Subaru that I test drove. I didn't check the oil on this one. I thought I did. The oil was freaking dry. I bought a Subaru with no oil in it. It probably had some when I bought it, but not much. So I got a new oil filter, oil, engine air filter, a cab filter, and they broke the lid off where the windshield wiper fluid goes in. They broke the lid off. That must have a leak because it's always low, and I've filled it twice since I bought it. I bought my car at Jiggy's in North Augusta, out there by Murphy Village. Saw Murphy Village for my first time. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. No sense at all. You know what I mean. I'd heard about it, never been there. Finally saw it when I went to Jiggy's to look at their Subarus. Because I wanted a Subaru. I needed a Subaru for all this cat food, cat traps, cat this, cat that. I've got a cat carrier, cat trap, couple boxes of canned cat food. I had 3 bags of cat food that was donated to me. I had to have room for all that. My little Nissan, which the transmission went out on, I needed something bigger for these kitties. So here I am, donating my time to these cats. Now I'm buying a bigger car for these cats. I think my brain got broke. I don't know. I don't know. Can you see I've been outside a lot? Getting sun. I need to get my sunscreen into my new car and get it out of my old car. So it's just been a lot. It's overwhelming. Okay, so I'm going to be pet sitting in Grovetown. And, okay, wait a minute. I got to back up. So I'm meeting people in this neighborhood, right? I'm friendly. I'll talk to anybody. I don't care if you're homeless. You know, I don't care. I'll talk to you. It's okay. Just don't hurt me. I don't want to get hurt. I just, want to be friendly. And so I meet, this guy that's around the corner where one of the kittens lives under his house. And he lets me in his yard. I've been feeding the kitten. I'm trying to trap it. I tried to trap it today. I left the trap there for a long time with food in it. That kitten never went in there. So one of the people that I've met who is homeless, we will call him, we'll just call him M. Okay? So M and I have been becoming friends. He's homeless. He lives in a tent. And he's very nice. And one day he said, well, I can help you trap that kitten. I said, okay. So he tried. He tried to help me catch that kitten, but it just keeps running underneath the house and you can't get it. So I was like, well, thanks for trying to help me. And I said, why don't you let me buy you your supper? He's like, okay. So he told me what he wanted. I went and got him some supper and I brought it back to him. And it felt good to know that he had something to eat, that day. So then, we talk when I see him. And then one day he was walking. He has a bicycle. He was walking and I was like, hey, where's your bike? He said, oh, my tire's flat. I'm going down here to try to earn some money so I can buy a new tube. And I'm like, oh, well, that sounds like a good thing to do. But I was like, I'll buy you a tube. Let me just buy you a tube. What size do you need? He tells me and I'm like, okay, I'll go get you a tube. So I went to Outspoken Bikes and because I know the owner, he's a very nice man. I'm sure anybody watching this video, you probably know him too. Brett, he's a very nice man. And I went there and I got a tube. It was my birthday. He wished me happy birthday. And I got the tube. I brought it back to M. He had his tire fixed in probably less than 1 minute. I've never seen anybody put a new tube on that fast. So this day was my birthday, and I bought him a tube, and I stayed with that gosh darn kitten for almost 4 hours trying to trap it. Ran a couple of errands, entrusted M with the trap, and because the trap is borrowed. The trap that I have is borrowed. It doesn't belong to me. That's what friends are for. They lent me a trap and a carrier. So if they ever, if you ever want to make a donation to a worthy cause, that's what friends are for, or Kitty Connection, or even Hands to Paw. They're all working tirelessly to try to get all these kitties spayed and neutered. And it's just freaking never ending. It is never ending. One cat has kittens and now you got 3 to 5 more kittens. It's just unbelievable. I've never lived anywhere with a problem like this. And I've lived all over the United States, from Arizona to Maine. I've never seen this problem like this in the CSRA. I've found that when you're near Army base, you're going to have animal problems. I'm sorry. It's not a disrespect, but that's just the truth. There's animals that get left behind, not taken care of. They get left with a friend, and then the friend doesn't take care of them. It's bad. It's sad. Anyway, so M has become my friend, and so far, he's very reliable. So I asked him if he'd help me and Trouble, get this ramp going. Absolutely, he will. I'm like, thank you. So today, he's there, and I say, hey, I'm going to be in Grovetown, and I don't want to drive all the way to Augusta every day to feed these kitties. I just can't afford to do that, to do all that driving. My Subaru takes more gas. It's a heavier car than my little Nissan did. I said, would you feed them for me? He said, yeah, I can do that. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you. I said, I'll pay you. I'll pay you for doing it. And he's like, okay. I'm like, I'll pay you, when I get back to town. He's like, okay. Well, I go to start my car and it won't start. It starts and dies. It's the push button. Now that I've had a push button, I don't ever want a push button again. Never, ever, ever. I always thought, that push button is so cool. No, it's not. It's not cool. It's stupid. So, I try to start it again. It starts, dies. So I jumped out of my car. I'm like, hey, Mike, would you look at my car, please? He's like, sure. Pop the hood. He gets in there. He's like, I think it's this thing. I'm like, okay. He said it probably needs to be cleaned out. I'm like, okay. And then he pulls something, I don't know what it's called. It's, airflow sensor. Yeah. He pulls it out, and then my car starts. Okay, great. Well, I get in. He unplugs the airflow sensor thing, then he plugs it back in after I've gotten, I started the car, it stayed going, then I turned it off, and he plugged it back in. So I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, I think this this airflow sensor needs to be replaced. I'm like, well, do you know how to replace it? He says, like, sure. And I'm like, well, there's still a little bit of daylight left. I'm like, well, let's go to the Advance Auto and let's go get one and I'll pay you to fix it. He's like, okay. I'm like, hop in the car, let's go. So, you know, it's one thing when a homeless person is homeless. It's another thing when a homeless person smokes. Right? Okay. But God bless him. God bless him. So we go to Advance Auto. He said, well, before we fix that, let's just put it on the machine and read it. I'm like, okay. So, well, the Advance Auto in that neighborhood is, they said their machine broke and so they ordered a new one and it's not in. And I'm like, oh, okay. And Mike says, no, that's okay. Let's go over to the shop. I got a friend with a shop. And I'm like, oh, Lord, please just let this be good. Please just let this be good. I need something good to happen to me. Okay, so we go to this shop and it's called, his name is Nick. Nickel and Dime. I remember an old friend of mine when we were bartending in Wyoming. She used to say something about, I'm getting nickeled and dimed to death. Anyway, so there's a shop on Broad Street called Nickel and Dime. And the guy that's there, his name is Nick. And his name is Nicodemus. Is that the craziest thing? Nicodemus. And he is really nice. And so, you know, I felt very safe there. And I'm around all these strangers. And you know, they're the people that we're all kind of hanging out. It's kind of like they're this community, you know. And so Mike says, hey, you know, can you help out my friend? And that made me feel good. Like, aw, he called me his friend. So he put his machine on and he did some things. We went, you know, we waited. You know, and then he explained. Okay, so I told him, I said, I got my air filter changed, the engine filter. I told him how bad it was. He said, well, probably what happened was your engine, this portion of your engine is working so hard because that filter was so clogged. And then it made all these things go bad. I said, oh my God. You really have to take care of your vehicle. But what he did was, where the air filter goes on, there's like these clamps that clamp shut. He reached over and he clamped them down. Jiffy Lube didn't clamp them down. They weren't clamped down. It was just pushed on there. They weren't clamped down. He's like, that wasn't good. That needs to be clamped down. I'm just like, I need to catch a break here. I need to catch a break. Because I'm a single lady, I get shit on everywhere I go because I'm a single lady. Come on. I said, yeah, I just recently bought this car. He said, where'd you get it at? I said, Jiggy's in North Augusta. And he went, no. I went, oh my God, don't say that. I said, they told me they serviced it before I bought it. They didn't service it. There's no oil. The filter was filthy. The cab filter was filthy. Oh my God. And then when I took my car to okay, so my car was clean when I got there. When I took my car to the Jiffy Lube, there was black hand marks on the dashboard, on the little thing that's between the two seats, that the console thing. It was black from black dirty hands. Don't touch my car with your black dirty hands. God darn it, that's not nice. So this young man named Nick, who was very nice, he's got my car in the machine, and because he and Mike are friends, he's doing me a favor. He drops everything he was doing, and he came and helped me right there on the spot, no appointment, right? Mechanics don't do that. We all know that. They don't do that. I'm still trying to not cry, right? I was like trying to not cry the whole time. I just am overwhelmed with emotion. Gratitude, pissed off that people are just fuckheads. He said, yeah. He said, no, Jiggy's didn't service your car. They bought it from the auction, and then they parked it in the lot waiting for someone to come buy it. I said, well, this car only had one owner. They've had it a long time. He said, yeah, they loved their car. They loved their car, obviously. And then something went wrong, and they got rid of it. Because if it was running well, why would they get rid of it? And I'm like, well, because it has a lot of miles on it. They probably want a new one. He's like, probably not. I'm like, I really want to be happy that I have this Subaru. I've wanted a Subaru for... The first time I went for a ride in a friend's Subaru was in New Hampshire in like 2011, 2012. And I just fell in love with that Subaru, and I've wanted a Subaru ever since. They're expensive. And I was a single mom. So, I mean, can single moms afford Subarus? I know a single mom who has a Subaru, brand new. Bought it brand new. I mean, yes, but that wasn't me. So, I still love my Subaru, but I'm really sad that I got done this way. No, they didn't service it. So what he did was so what happened was, I think I missed this part. So when M unplugged that sensor, when we plugged it back in and we were driving down the road, all these lights came on. Like, your brake light is on, your ABS is something. I mean, all these lights are on in my dashboard, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? And, I'm trying to keep my blood pressure low, and I'm stressing, and we get there, and he says, yeah, because when he unplugged that and plugged it back in, it needed to be reset. And I'm like, okay, so he reset it. And he said, everything looks good, but most likely your airflow sensor is going to need to be replaced. He says, I got you. I'll take care of that if you need me to. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, okay, so I have this other problem. Do you have a thing that programs a key fob? He says, yeah, this machine programs key fobs. He says, you need me to program a key fob? I said, well, I'm going to order one. I said, I went to Gerald Jones, and oh boy, do I have a story about them when I bought my Nissan from them. Anyway, stay on track. So I said, okay, when I got this car, they gave me a feebob. Feebob. Oh, I'm losing it. I'm tired too. Okay. My fob had a dead battery, so I only have one fob working. I'm sorry, you don't sell somebody a car with only one fob working. You don't do it. With no oil, with a dirty frickin' engine filter. You don't do that. South Carolina, you allow people to sell cars this way? What is wrong with you, South Carolina? You need to have lemon laws. You need to have laws that protect the people. Oh my gosh. Not cool. Not cool, South Carolina. So, laws are for protecting people. Okay, back to the story. So, I'm like, yeah, okay. So, anyway, so I go to Advanced Auto on, what is that street? It's right there off of Fury's Ferry and Riverwatch, where like Edgar's is and Dairy Queen. That Advanced Auto right there. I stopped in there because I was dog walking in Martinez. And I'm going to say Martinez because that's the proper way to say it. I'm not going to whitewash the word Martinez and say Martinez. That's not the proper way to say it. It's Martinez. Okay. So, anyway, I was born in Phoenix. I know how to say Martinez. Okay. So, I went there to get a battery. They didn't have any packages with one. I had to buy a 4-pack. And I keep forgetting to buy batteries. So you need 2 key fobs to work in case you lose one and blah, 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 whatever. You need 2. Okay, so I said, fine, whatever. I'll buy the 4-pack. I buy the 4-pack, and the young lady that's waiting on me, I also bought windshield wiper blades. The young lady, bless her heart, and I mean that sincerely. She's like, here, I'll put your battery in for you. She takes my key fob apart. That's working fine, okay? Not working fine. The battery's dead, but there's nothing wrong with it, right? She tries to put the battery in, and the thing won't shut because the battery won't stay down. The battery that was in there was laying flat. She broke the 2 little things that hold the battery in. She broke them. So we can't get the thing put back together because the battery won't stay down. So I said, just give me the fob. Just give me the fob. She gives me the fob. I said, let's go outside and put these windshield wiper blades on. I don't know how to put them on this car. Can you show me how? I have really bad arthritis, and I've had both shoulders replaced. A year ago, I had my left shoulder replaced a 2nd time. They cut my muscle out. They cut it out, so I don't have a muscle there anymore. My arm is really weak. I can use it, thank God. But I have arthritic hands. I have a weak left arm, so I really rely on my right arm a lot. And the muscle here is nice and big because I use it so much. And I can't pull the thing, I can't get the freaking windshield wiper off. I can't push it, click it in. I can't do it myself. She does it for me. I'm really happy to see girls working at Advance Auto and knowing how to do these things. It's very important that we have women doing these things who can take care of themselves. So I'm glad to see that. All right, so now I go to Gerald Jones, who I don't like Gerald Jones at all. They screwed me so bad with my Nissan. They did a terrible thing. We won't get into that. $300 for the key fob, $200 to program it, plus tax. So over $500 it will cost me. If Jiggies had just put a gosh darn battery in that key fob, I wouldn't be going through this hell.